The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Ulf. I'm part of the Seaburger Global Business Development team. I have Rakesh with me today. He is the North American lead architect, involved in many of our different type of businesses in North America and globally. We are very happy to have you all on board. Today's focus is obviously an important one. We are all living and working in the digital age, and we are trying to do what we can to improve existing infrastructure using various type of technologies. We're working with outdated software. We're working with new technologies. We have to integrate to applications, people, processes internally to your enterprise and externally as well. So today's topic is something that I think is quite applicable to what many of you are involved in, one way or the other. How to help modernize your own infrastructure to support your business leaders, various type of business units in various ways to improve services to customers, to business partners, and to other entities and organizations that you're working with one way or the other. We have put together an agenda. We will share a little bit from our own experience and what we can see globally around modernization and how to improve and really, put and create digital services around your environment. To give you some ideas on how you can get there, depending on which stage you're in and the steps, how we can help, obviously. And we will also share with you from an interesting case study, a North American insurance type company that have gone through this now some time ago, and we have some interesting story to tell you around that. I will hand over to Rakesh, and he will take it from here. If you have questions, please put those into the question box, and we will manage those at the end. And I will come back at the end as well to give some more information on how you can find more information around this topic and how we can help you. So by that, Rakesh, please take it away.
Thank you, Ulf. Thanks everyone for joining the webinar today on modernizing and digitalizing with simplified migration best practices. So why is there a need to modernize the legacy applications that we have today? Simple example, we get excited about Amazon Prime Days today. We get excited about new services. Simple example, one of the service offerings that I used to actually move money internationally, and I went with the Zoom service because they provided the fastest way to move money. Their fees is a little bit higher, but the service is actually great. So we want to provide a competitive service offering to our customers, and otherwise we will not be in business today. We've seen examples with Toys R Us and Babies R Us and any of these brick and mortar stores that are going bankrupt are not able to attract customers. So we do want to provide a competitive service offering better than what our competition is offering, obviously. And to do that, most of these applications that we have, that are legacy applications that work really well, we want to modernize them in some fashion while providing transparency, risk management, and to build a reliable and scalable infrastructure built for today, because that would also reduce cost of ownership in doing all of this. So there are many reasons why businesses today are investing large amounts of money. We have actually recently heard a large bank, Royal Bank of Canada, investing $1 billion into digitalization and modernization. So we see that over and over again in a lot of companies trying to reinvent their companies. But one of the challenges, obviously, the backbone to providing all these services is the application infrastructure. They want to provide the best methodology while reducing costs. And to do that, they have this really complex band-aided applications that provide these services today. So there are multiple ways they can actually, get off of these migration applications. Either they can migrate all the users from these legacy applications, or they can bring in new applications that sit on top of these applications, provide new services. So we can do different methods. They're obviously, one of the reasons why they want to modernize is to provide compliance and regulatory restrictions that, federal governments that put together. We have e-invoicing and customs initiatives, to move, to provide invoices within countries. We have HIPAA regulations, we have PCI compliance. A lot of them, I think, have to be provided. When you have a band-aided application where data touches multiple portions, it's difficult to actually say, if the data is secure or not. And that's why we see a lot of security threats within applications and for businesses. And there's actually limited functionality that these legacy applications provide as well. So if we want to provide a better functionality, two choices: we buy other applications, or we do custom code to develop our own. There's also data security aspects to it. So there are multiple challenges when you're thinking about modernizing legacy applications. And we want to talk about how do we get there. Today, our focus is obviously on business-to-business and managed file transfer integrations. We believe that integration is key. We would like to, I think, while doing that, we want to manage and secure, improve operational performance, and also provide the same channel management, improve channel management, which means provide multiple ways for users and business partners to access a service, but have the same treatment irrespective of the channel that they choose. So the first one on this topic is to migrate your outdated business-to-business and managed file transfer integrations. Several of the projects that we have done in the last few years are migration projects. And one of the main reasons is just because of the band-aided application methodology that we've done. We've had customers who have scripts that were written 2 decades ago that process data today. So we need to be able to efficiently move them to modern applications with better functionality and better way to manage applications. So obviously that's one of the first steps. The second one we want to talk about is obviously secure the exponential increase in business data. And what I mean by that, most of the customers' businesses today, you would actually also see the amount of data that's being processed is growing by 300%. I recently had a call with a mortgage company that basically is trying to modernize their managed file transfer platform. And they said one of the main reasons is because they expect around 300% growth within the next 2 to 3 years in the data movement. And they say, how do I actually secure this data and how do I even scale? So we need to have a better way to manage and secure exponential increase in business data, providing end-to-end encryption, audit capability, any compliance initiatives that federal government or other global governments put together. All of that we should be able to handle them. The third one is obviously to adopt changes to compliance and regulations. How easy it is, or how easy do you want to make it with new regulations, new compliances? Do you have to build custom code? No, we should be a configurable item within the application when you actually do this. We want to analyze real-time data trends, and we also want to efficiently onboard customers. So any of these compliance and regulatory initiatives, we have recently in Europe GDPR compliance where we have to secure customer data. All of these compliance initiatives that are in place, whenever they hit businesses, businesses don't have to actually invest a large amount of money to do that. We should be able to do a configuration. It should be a configuration as part of the application that provides this compliance out of the box within the application. So a flexible solution there. And obviously, a competitive service offering is as good only when internal businesses or internal sales is able to sell those offerings, right? So we want to improve operational performance inside the business, inside the company. And one of the ways, that we were talking about to a company recently, they've actually, to onboard a business partner to process their claims, it takes them anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. in a day and age when we have Amazon Web Services, Azure Cloud, where you can summon a web service or you summon a service within a matter of minutes, we cannot imagine onboarding a partner takes 6 to 8 weeks. So obviously improving internal business operational performance is key, along with actually the new services that we provide to customers. So, and we want to reduce that onboarding effort that we have. We also want to provide, a service level agreement monitoring where, we want to avoid penalties if we miss payments on time, if we are not processing invoices in time, if you're not, handling claims the right way. All of those are challenges that we want to improve. And obviously channel management, which means irrespective of the channel, better functionality, multiple ways to process data, but the same way to handle the data once it actually comes into the organization. So unified channel management is key for any business. A large bank that we're actually working with, a global bank, was looking into improving their payment processing platform. And I'll show an example later on where they said, we have all these different channels. Somebody is actually processing payments through mobile apps, APIs. Somebody is processing these payments through batch processing. And we want to handle all these payments a similar fashion. And that's where they say, we want to consolidate processing these, even though we have multiple channels, we want to process them through a single application. So the channel management becomes key because we want to provide the same kind of service irrespective of how users are using that service. And one of the Seaburger success criteria for digital path forward, we have actually built some applications that are specifically designed to aid companies in digital transformation. And the first one that we want to tackle is some of the migration projects that we're doing for customers who want to migrate off of traditional business-to-business integration, managed file transfer, moving away from different FTP, SFTP servers. We actually help them a lot. So the traditional methodology that we have is users access a service within a URL or an app, right? And the app actually uses a particular service using an application called ftp.my.com. It's just a URL that partners, applications, or stores they use today to access their legacy applications. In a traditional migration method, typically you install the modern application, you reach out to all the business partners, and then inform them that, hey, we have a new application, you need to actually start using this service. And one of the key challenges here, if you have thousands of business partners and applications, you have to reach out to each of them and then ask them and then tell them, hey, we have a new service coming. Obviously, they're excited about the new service, but they're not happy to the fact that they have to do all the user acceptance testing that they have in place. They have to, I think, have different ways to access. They might have to invest personnel, time, investment in some ways. Maybe they have to upgrade their applications. So a lot of them actually have to do that. And obviously, there's going to be service interruption when you're doing all of this because you're going to say, okay, I'm going to take from a timeout or the service off of to their partners. They have to have service interruption to basically use this new application or service. There's extended project deadlines. Can you imagine you are doing a modernization and legacy migration and you have tens of thousands of business partners? Can you imagine how much time and effort it would actually take to reach out to them? You're now dependent on your business partners to do the UAT testing and everything in time for you to finish your project. So you're relying on third-party services, which would actually extend project timelines and hence high implementation costs. So the traditional migration method, everyone who's actually want to do it are really worried and scared to do it because it's quite painful to do that. To tackle this problem, the Seaburger migration methodology that we have successfully used for many, many customers is to provide a migration suite that allows you to do user agnostic migration. And what I mean by that is users will not have to change the way they access their service. They can keep using the same way they access the service. We have developed an application a migration suite, which would allow you to route data intelligently between the legacy application and the Seaburger managed file transfer platform or business-to-business integration platform without your business partners noticing it. The amount of time you have to spend, I think, talking to them, moving them off of service, taking service interruptions, you don't have to do any of that. So business continuity is maintained and your customers are not affected through this method. We also actually enable the switchable approach in the migration suite, which means, let's say a customer is using the legacy application today, and you switch them to the Seaburger platform via the methods that we provide. And he says, hey, in the Seaburger methodology, I see some errors and I want to be able to switch back the services. You can switch them back and forth between legacy application and the Seaburger business integration suite, so that the amount of risk you have in providing the customer the service is heavily reduced. And it reduces the implementation time with this methodology by over 60%. We've been actually working with a large credit card company who came to us and says, we want to modernize our managed file transfer platform, and we have over 60,000 business partners and applications using it today. The amount of time it would have taken them to migrate their application, they've actually did the math, and they said if they did it efficiently enough, it would have taken 10 years to contact each of those 60,000 business partners and doing UAT testing and having to migrate them, even with some code that allows them to automate the migration. We have reduced it to under 3.5 to 4 years. We've reduced it by around 60%. They've migrated right now, all the 60,000, they've grown to 70,000 now and are able to migrate and with happy customers today. And obviously they've reduced the amount of effort and implementation time that they have done with this project, and improved customer satisfaction. Now they're going to their partners and saying, okay, we have improved functionality. There are other services that we can provide on top of this. So they're able to garner more business. And their sales is actually, internal sales department is quite happy because they can go to the businesses, there is no service interruption, and they're able to provide better service. And this is basically what we have. The data migration suite that we have as part of Seaburger is we have a couple different modules that have built. Data migration switch is one that we have actually described, where the module allows you to intelligently route data, file movement, everything between legacy application and the business integration suite without the customers knowing it. We also have improved master data management, which means we have a repository of applications. For example, we have maps, business-to-business integration maps that we have built out. Let's say you want to, integrate a new partner. We have all the master data information, connectivity information, mapping data that we are able to provide you as a package to reduce onboarding times and be able to do that. The Compare tool is an application that allows you to do automated testing of different data standards, standard partner mapping. All of these are part of migration suites. We have customer case studies to actually support them. We have reference customers that would actually talk to you about this. So if you have a need, we have done successful migrations from many vendors, that you actually use today: Axway, Secure Transport, Amtrix, Integrated. These are applications we're doing migrations from IP Switch. We have done migrations from IBM Sterling Commerce, Enterprise Sterling Integrator. Any of these applications, if you do, and you think you have a reduced service, you want to modernize these applications, I think Seaburger, please come to us and we'll be able to talk about it. So just to give you an overview of how this data migration switch works. So let's say we have a legacy application user and they're actually uploading files and downloading files via legacy MFT platform. So they have a legacy MFT user is uploading and downloading files via SFTP. Let's say it could be invoices, it could be orders, it could be payments. It's not industry specific, it's industry independent, any data that they're actually flowing to. So all we're showing here, a legacy application user is using biz01 as the URL, and he's able to upload files. Here, we're uploading file part 1 into this, and you can see that the legacy application is receiving this file in their inbox. we would upload now file part 2 into the same folder, and you would see that the legacy application is receiving that file in their inbox folder. You can also see in the outbox folder file part 4 that's available. And if you look at the legacy application, so this is this application that they're using for uploading as well as downloading files, let's say, and these are important files. It could be any application. Now I go to the Seaburger platform and I say, now we want to switch the legacy MFT user to the new Seaburger platform. All you have to do is come in and enter the username right here. And now, when the user then switches over, let's say we disconnect the user, the next time the user logs in, he's using the same URL, mind that, this 01. He's using the same protocol, same port, nothing changes. Using the same password. Now when he logs in, he has the same functionality, right? So he has the same inbox and outbox folders. You can see same functionality, so there's no change from an end user view. They upload a new file into this folder, so the functionality remains same. And if you look into the legacy application, the file does not end up here because this user has been switched from a legacy MFT platform to the Seaburger platform. So if you go into Seaburger right now and then be able to look at his inbox, now you're using a different channel to actually access this application via HTTP browser instead of SFTP. And you would see that the file ends up in this new application. And we upload a new file here. You would see that because the user is switched, you would be able to see the new file in the Seaburger platform. So we're able to switch the user without much effort, no restarts, nothing that you have to do to switch the user. Now we remove the user in the same fashion, and when the user disconnects and connects back, he is now routed to the legacy application. Mind you, he's using the same URL to connect, using the same username and password. When he logs in, he is now routed back to the legacy platform. So this is the methodology that we used to switch around 60,000 partners without them and user agnostic migration. So the data migration switch, the module that we have in place is quite powerful in what it can do to do migrations. And we also talked about data compliance, and one of the key issues is there's new regulation that's built into place. So we have actually built a module, data compliance module, that is flexible in nature so that whenever a given application changes, or a payment method changes, or EDI file changes, or any platform application standards change, whenever standards change, we would be able to handle the new standards in a very flexible form. Just to give you a demo. So this is our compliance module where you can build your own compliance initiatives. And as part of this example, we're going to show you Swift compliance. Swift is a data standard used especially by banks. This methodology can also be used for EDI, can be used for flat files, CSVs, anything that you like. So it is data standard agnostic. You can use this application for anything, for any data standard that you have. So we are importing the standard Swift messages that are standardized by the Swift community. We have a payment standard. It's called an MT103, where it's a single customer credit transfer document that users use. So once this actually standard is built, we have this message. So let's say we have a sample document that we want to do a compliance check against. When we copy and paste the file and then do a compliance check build on this application based on the standard, our compliance check application is running through the compliance check and is letting you know generates a nice little report that tells you, what are all the compliance needs and where all the message fails. So this validation report that actually it generates has every field that says, okay, this field needs to be here with detailed descriptions. And one of the ways we're doing this is we're automating this, where users, when they upload files, when they upload payments, when they upload EDI invoices, they upload orders, we can actually run through this compliance check. We can check account numbers, we can check claim numbers, everything through this application and be able to notify them saying that, hey, these are the reports. So we're automating compliance regulation quite easily without much manual efforts. Today, most of you actually have to go through the whole data, view it, need a very technical person to manage this. We're removing the need for it where customers are intuitively able to see that. And our application comes with a workflow manager where you can introduce compliance check as part of a workflow and be able to use that. And this workflow is quite powerful because we were talking about channel management. So irrespective of how the data is transferred to the application, we will be able to execute compliance check independent of the channel. It could be SFTP, it could be API, it could be a file drop, it could be anything. We're able to handle them with this compliance check module quite easily. And what is the Seaburger recommended approach for digital transformation? Obviously, we talked about managed file transfer, API integration, MFT. We are providing a hybrid integration platform. We do not want customers to do the same mistake that they've done before with the Band-Aid applications. We want to make sure that they can go to one application platform, a hybrid integration platform that provides all the functionality that they're looking for in one single application, and they can scale the application as they need it. This avoids band-aiding applications to do that. Even from a single vendor, if you look into it, you might have to buy multiple applications to perform the same amount of functionality, and we want to avoid that. So the business integration suite, all of these modules, API module, B2B module, MFT module, they're plug and play, ready to use industry solutions that you can deploy on the same business integration suite. So at the end, you can use all of that together in one single application. This obviously allows you to reduce total cost of ownership, and this is exactly what we have done for our customers. Several of our customers, start with us and say, hey, I want to modernize my MFT platform, or I want to modernize my B2B platform. When they look at the functionality they have, they say, why am I actually using these other applications where Seaburger can provide the same functionality within the same platform and gives you the flexibility to use that via our MFT manager and other applications that we just showed. So we provide, our application can handle any of the data formats that you have. It could be EDI, XML, Swift. So if you need data processing, we would be able to do that. We provide agile process management where we can execute workflows. We've also developed, we were talking about operational performance earlier. We've developed applications on top of the business integration suite as a plug and play modules, which would reduce the onboarding time for a given partner by over 70%. We've done that with actually other customers. We also have a community within our cloud where you can choose to say, I want to do business with this supplier. I want to do business with this bank. And you'd be able to pick and choose which customers you want to do it. And we're able to do that for some of our customers through these consolidation projects. And API is key, obviously, to provide new and refreshed services to millennials today, right? So we're able to provide those kind of services on top of this. So one of the challenges that we have, most of the financial services today, use legacy batch processing applications, and they want to provide a new front-end interface and then be able to process them. So you can actually add an API gateway layer on top of it, and you can do that to the Seaburger platform or through any platform, and we can actually process the data. We take the API request and then translate it to a batch form that mainframes can process and then process them to the backend. So we're able to provide different channels through which you can receive and send data, but be able to keep your legacy applications if that's the case where you want to do it. So a hybrid integration platform, which is industry independent, that you can use. In summary and conclusion, one of the main things with the digitalization projects that we're doing today is obviously to secure data efficiently, customer satisfaction, modernizing applications, real-time insight into data through actually end-to-end monitoring applications that you can do. So all of the points that I mentioned are key for a successful digitalization platform. One of the case studies that we wanted to provide today is a vision care provider. VSP is one of the largest vision care insurance provider for all over Americas. And I believe they are also doing this globally today. They came to us and they had a legacy platform which was end of life, and also they were having a lot of issues handling claims. There was a digitalization push from the CEO within the VSP where they want to do the modernization of all their platforms. However, they want to reduce cost of ownership as well, because they were paying a large amount of maintenance, maintaining all these applications. So one of the key things that we did, we used our data migration suite in migrating their MFT users. There were around 15,000 users, where we migrated them without having to contact any of these users. We were able to migrate them to the Seaburger managed file transfer platform within less than a year. And it was a very, we are very proud of that, VSP is actually able to reference us and provide this case study for us. We didn't stop there, because VSP also wanted to modernize their business-to-business integration platform powered by GIS. And then looked into it and said, okay, you guys actually have the functionality to that. So why don't we not consolidate so that we can have one single business integration platform that provides managed file transfer, business-to-business integration, API needs, everything in place. And the result is what we have done here. The business integration suite is key to all the services that they provide within VSP today. We're able to handle EDI with their trading partners. We're able to handle files internally and externally. We're able to provide them news channel offerings via SFTP and other services that they wanted to provide. We're able to integrate into their CRM application via REST. We're able to integrate into SAP. We're connecting to their databases. So a truly hybrid integration platform that VSP uses today. And they have been able to replace old scripts that were written 20 years ago. They were able to replace and modernize and be able to provide better service. So their claim processing is faster. Their invoices and orders are handled the right way. We're able to do that for this company. And obviously, I have to tell you that the business value and benefits that it provides to the operations team, the channel management team, sales and marketing, security office, all of this is critical. And we provide all of these services with the different tools that we provide and applications we provide as part of the business integration suite platform. So please, I would hope that you have some questions there in the chat windows, and we can move forward. Ulf?
Perfect. Thank you very much, Rakesh. We have a few questions that came in here during the presentation. I think there's some interest in APIs. So it's more, how Seaburger can support, as part of a migration of a legacy environment, but then also support API enablement or enablement of data from an API perspective that then can be used with external applications. Do you think you can elaborate a little bit around that, Rakesh?
Sure. So APIs, today most of the companies have invested in APIs some way or the other, and they have an API gateway layer. So one of the things that we're seeing today is that even though they have an API gateway layer, they need to process the data once it enters the organization. when it comes to the API gateway. They're seeing that having just an API gateway layer is not sufficient enough, because they need some ways to process the data, and that's where they have to devise, I think, custom code. They're going through the same methodology, and they want to avoid that as well, because once they start building applications on top of the API gateways, they're going back to the same old ways of band-aided applications together. This is where we come in. So Seaburger actually has an API gateway layer that can interface with other API gateway layers. So because we are good in processing data, so one of the things that, one of the key proof of concepts for a bank that we're doing today is they're receiving data through an existing API gateway layer, but then they forward the data to our API layer. We take the data and then we process the information and then we send it to the backend. This will avoid any kind of development that we have to do, because Seaburger has all the functionality to integrate into legacy applications. We support over 60 plus communication protocols, integration protocols, with a flexible workflow processing module built in. So the amount of development that you have to do on Seaburger platform is significantly reduced. So one of the options that they've actually chosen to do is to keep their existing API layer, because it's hard for them to get off of it, but interface with a more powerful hybrid integration platform. Irrespective of how the data comes in, we're able to process the data. So that's how Seaburger is able to help customers today. However, if you choose, we can also be the API gateway layer and then process data, because we have both these layers inbuilt into the business integration suite.
So this is not a separate software, correct? This is as an extension to our platform.
That is correct.
Which is the value here as well. So you can switch on and off functionality depending on your business need, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, cool. Absolutely.
Good. I have another one, maybe more technical here. So that's related to the data migration switch. So is that a software or is it a service? Or you showed here obviously a little bit around the functionality. You did demonstrate that, but can you just elaborate a little bit more? How you would use that as part of a migration, when you get to that point where you want to move business partners from one platform to another without affecting them, so to say, without an impact?
Sure, we'll definitely do. So the data migration switch is a module which is also part of our business integration suite. It's a small application that can be installed on premise, or you can also use it as a service if you are looking into migrating an application to our cloud platform, where we can use it today as well, to basically migrate. So it's a flexible module that we have. And the way we recommend implementing the data migration switch, let's say you have a legacy application, maybe IP switch or Connect Enterprise or Axway. We typically, in phase one, we install the data migration switch module, and we start routing data via a network change to the data migration switch. And in phase one, we basically send all the data to the legacy application. That way, we want to make sure that business continuity is maintained. Users are not able to see any changes, and everything actually flows as expected. So that's basically phase one. In phase two is when we start the actual migration, which is master data migration, which means we're able to automatically export and import user names, passwords. We're able to automatically export and import routing rules that they have. So in phase two, we start migrating actual data from the legacy application, master data, configuration information, endpoint configuration, everything that they have into the Seaburger platform. That's phase two. And then the last phase, which is phase three, we start migrating users in batches. I have one customer who has done migration in batches of 1,000 partners at a time. All you have to do to migrate these partners is enter the username into that flexible migrated users list. So all you have to do is enter the username there, and they automatically get switched. And out of the 1,000 partners, if two of the partners say, hey, I think I see a little bit of difference, and can we actually work this out? We can switch them back to the legacy application, work through the issues, and then switch them back on. So that's where we avoid risk. That's where we provide business continuity. So this is actually done in 3 phases, and we've implemented this for, where we migrated 60,000 partners at one customer, around 20,000 partners, another 15,000 partners for a third application. So we've used it successfully across multiple customers of ours.
So that's great. So volume is obviously not a problem. And
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I have another one here. It's related to, I think in the beginning of the presentation, we talked about different type of challenges and, kind of an as-is state in an enterprise. You referred to band-aided applications and, closely connected. So the question here, if I understand right, is more, what's the impact here with regards to cost, security? I mean, you mentioned some of the volume and speed, but can you elaborate a little bit around that? Typical more on the as-is state and why the problem is there, so to say.
Yes. So typically one of the applications, because large enterprises and even I think small customers, they have multiple business units that are spread across. So good or bad, I think the business units sometimes talk and sometimes don't. So there's no concept of an enterprise integration today. Every business unit actually goes and buys their own application. What happens with that approach is we have a lot of servers, FTP, SFTP servers that are lying around because they want to, I think, deploy something. They want to quickly get data to this application, and they need a special way to do it. They go buy different applications. And the issues associated with this band-aided applications is the fact that you have data lying around. We don't know if they're actually secure. There is no end-to-end visibility. There is no governance because multiple business units are doing this. And obviously, there's maintenance costs that each business unit is paying to each of these individual applications that they're maintaining. So enterprise integration as a service is true, it's real. We have worked with many customers who have actually gone that way, where they want to actually have a business unit specifically dedicated to provide integration services to all these different businesses. And that's where we come in, and that's where the highest cost savings are, because one of the key risks to a business is obviously data security. So you don't want to actually, move data around to different applications that, insecurely. So with the enterprise integration service, a dedicated team or dedicated members who are managing this integration platform to provide different services to different business units. We've seen that in different insurance industries where they've done that, where they provided MFT as a service to the platform. We've seen that in banks today, where there's one business unit that provides an MFT service, application service, a payment service. So enterprise integration service is real, and I think that's where the industry is moving to as well.
Okay.
That's where we actually come in and help.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I have 2 more that I think we can do, and the rest we will follow up on in emails or in other ways. There was one question related to protocol, and this is obviously communication protocol, and this is obviously industry independent. But what do we typically see? Moving EDI files or XML files or maybe more industry related files. What are the typical protocols that are in use there?
Yeah, sure.
Give or take.
So EDI files, it depends on who you're doing business with. EDI files are typically, there's supplier and buyer relationships. If it's a smaller supplier, they typically use an FTP, or they use, I think, a web browser to upload files, EDI files today, which is not that secure. They also use PGP encryption decryption today for smaller suppliers. Bigger ones, if you obviously have to do business with Walmart or somebody, you have to do more secure protocols like AS2, where you have to, I think, buy them. We also seen SFTP. FTP, web-based, SFTP and AS2 are the most critical ones that we're seeing today to move EDI files. However, one of the things that that Seaburger is actually currently doing is also we're kind of seeing, is there a way to do real-time EDI handling through the application? So we are doing some proof of concepts or theories with some companies to see if we can actually modernize the EDI industry and then move away from the old-fashioned way. We've also, I think, doing some work behind the scenes to see if blockchain would be a solution or some way to actually handle some of these EDI files back and forth. It could be actually an EDI wallet for that sake, where suppliers can have it where we actually do. So
kind of a coexistence with some of the new innovative technologies that is about to mature, so to say. So
yes, absolutely.
We can be the foundation from that from a data collection perspective.
Absolutely.
Okay, one more, and then I think we're wrap this up, and I will actually answer that one. I think the question is more related to how we, Seaburger, can deliver our solution, and we can obviously, some of the examples that Rakesh referred to today was more on-prem. We have a cloud. We can provide cloud services globally, depending on where you are in the world. We have 3 certified data centers that were one in Asia, one in Europe, and one in US, where we can provide relevant cloud services around this as well. And then typically, and you may see that as well, and experience that, is typically where we're going today. It's more of a hybrid setup where you have some of your applications running in the cloud, and maybe you have some of the integration technologies such as ours running in on-premise, and then you have to architect it in a certain way so you can facilitate both and various type of scenarios. So we can run our services and solutions on-premise, hybrid, and as a cloud service, depending on your choice. Good. Maybe we can wrap it up. Rakesh, if you can move to the next, just the last couple of slides. And one way that we typically do, if we get a request and how to start things, would, for example, our services team or our business consultant can help you to look into your existing environment, do a review, look into certain areas that are more sensible than others, where you have business pain today. So this is an approach that we typically take with partners, customers, and others that are interested to review more of their environment and the ability and how they can move into a more open, secure, digitalized environment, so to say. So please feel free to reach out to us, and we can tell you more about this. If you move to the next slide, please. There was another question was if we will provide you with the material. Of course, we will. After this, before end of this week, we will send out the relevant information from this webinar, slides, and we will also, in that follow-up email, you will see an infographic. We have done some research that covers various type of industry facts and some numbers. What we believe are the top 3 reasons why you need to modernize your infrastructure. So please look out for that in your inbox as well. We are obviously out there, LinkedIn, Twitter, and other social media. If you have an interest, finding out more, please feel free to send us an email, and we can contact you as well. No problem. So by that, I think we end the webinar for today. I really would like to thank you, Rakesh, for providing good knowledge and good experience and share your experience with the audience. And I would like to thank everyone in the audience for participating in today's webinar. Thank you very much, and have a good rest of the week.
Thanks, everyone.